these sorts of positions. They rarely miss. It actually makes the game so easy as well, because, as I say, the standard is so high. When the ball's open like this, it becomes almost like a practice routine.
35.
Just moving the cue ball around. Nice and straightforward.
36.
It's strange, isn't it, how the conditions differ from tournament to tournament. I've spoken to, well, all the players here, and over the course of all the groups, everyone's in agreement that the conditions seem to be really, really good. And when they have dipped slightly, they're able to rectify it very quickly. We've got a table fitter on site who's
42.
on the job for any queries. But the new cloth, the generous pockets, the ball's opening nice. It's just a recipe for just snooker perfection, really. If there isn't another maximum in this event, I'll be absolutely gobsmacked. We should have seen two today.
50.
Virtually side by side as well. That would have been something, wouldn't it, if that had happened? It was very nearly a split screen with both tables, watching Jack Jones attempt his and Joe O'Connor his. What a moment that could have been.
Yes, in last year's Championship League, Joe O'Connor made a 147. In the very next frame, he ran 73. They were perfect. He didn't convert the history.
58.
But it looks as though Gilbert's going to convert this chance. Trump missed that red to middle, and he's been sitting down ever since.
Taken these very well, Dave Gilbert, and he had to. This will just focus the mind even further.
62.
Good. Referee John Pellew just getting
63.
his numbers muddled up there. Didn't concern Dave. But yeah, this has been a good response.
$66.
Long old stint for the referees, isn't it? You know, every credit to them. They've got to concentrate for long periods of time.
$70.
Yeah, all three of them this week doing a sterling job, as always. Ian Wagstaff, John Pellew and Rob Spencer.
$81. $88 on the frame, David Gilbert.
There he goes, a break of 88 in response to Trump's 38 that ended with that misread to middle that no one could really have predicted. And so the first two frames have been shed. history might well be repeating itself. You might recall when we came back off the commercial break at the start of the previous frame, I was telling you that Jack Jones was in line for a century against Tom Ford. Well, in the second frame, exactly the same thing applies. He's got a wonderful chance to make it 2-0 with a couple of tons. We'll keep you right up to date with his progress to see whether he can make century number 29 in the event. You know, some years ago, maybe 10 years ago, if somebody made 30 centuries in a season, it was a really solid dig, a really solid knock from whoever did it. Now Jack Jones, quite conceivable, more than likely actually, he's going to make 30 centuries in this tournament alone.
84.
It's just outrageous figures, isn't it? I don't think anyone would have expected Jack Jones to have broken the record, but it just goes to show how capable all the players are. He's still got so many more matches to be played as well. This is only his second group game, 4 more group games to play. The possibility of the playoffs, the possibility of another group, the possibility of the winners group as well. How many could he make?
91.
Well, he could certainly make 40, couldn't he?
4.
I was saying last night, it's the chance for Jones to establish a record that
96.
will remain intact when we're all long gone.
Yeah, the fact he's bettered it by a long, long way already, with a chance to make so many more. I could be standing for a long old time. Fair play to him.
12.
He just can't miss.
109 on the frame. Jack Jones.
Yeah, 115 in the first frame, 109 in the second. He leads Tom Ford 2-0. Always difficult to go into the bunch with any great gusto when you're taking the cue ball off the top cushion first. But it's worked out pretty decently for Trump.
Twenty-seven.
Now this is definitely missable. Playing with the alternate hand.
$28.
And all things considered, I think he will be happy with that. Okay, he's not plumb. But it could have been a whole lot worse.
$33. $34.
Increasingly, Trump is quite prepared to switch hands.
$41. $42.
Now, Stephen, this could be
49.
something of a tester. Okay, he's got the red to middle, but we all know just how acute the angle is, and these middles, even on a generous table, are unforgiving.
Yeah, they're very, very nippy, these middle pockets. That's why he's chosen to play the double, and what a shot that was from Trump. Just refuses to lie down. He's got his sights set on that century break again, hasn't he? Look at that for a shot as well. Screwing the blue in.
55.
Naturally, you would play that with left-hand side, which turns into running side off the cushion. He's played it with right to check it. He's got the arc initially and then checked the cue ball, but, well, he's cued completely across that.
55.
Yeah, that was one of those shots when, as he took the cue back, you knew he was going to miss it. So in the previous frame, he broke down on 38 and Gilbert cleared. This time, Trump's lead a little more substantial, but not decisive. That needed to be struck so thinly. Was it worth it?
Has he left anything for Trump? He's left the red to the green pocket, but nothing straightforward. This is a tester.
So you might say Gilbert's previous shot was a little reckless, but he's not paid for it at all.
One.
It was an awkward little one, that, for Dave. He was quite thin on that blue.
6.
Had to try and play a little holding cannon just to keep the cue ball in the middle of the table. No real control over the shot, and he's lost the white to the corner pocket. Now this is a tester to the middle bag. Yeah, and it wasn't a shot that he really convinced us that he was ready to pot. He's missed a couple in this game, Dave, and that was a particularly difficult shot.
Now, good to see patience, application, common sense there. Okay, for this frame, the century not available, but get the frame one, get the match one, and things are looking healthy, very healthy.
How much of this red can he see past the blue? I don't think it's all that much. If you could see the potting angle, he'd have been down playing it by now, but obviously he can't. He's just playing the up and down. Try and use the pink as the covering ball, but he's got the double kiss, and that's a disaster.
Given that the double kiss wasn't avoided, I suppose you could make a case out to say that could have been worse. Because playing those thin cuts, you often lose control of the white. And if the black doesn't go past the red, well, it clearly does. So that's a stroke of fortune. Gilbert just tapping the table there in acknowledgement that he was lucky.
Yeah, it's a golden chance to get back into the frame, this for Dave. He's got, well, guaranteed 32 points around the black here before he needs to consider that red under his arm. But again, I don't think that he will be that concerned with where it is. He'll be quite happy to play in behind that at some stage.
Seventeen. 24. 25.
Over on table 2, Tom Ford has joined the Big Break Jamboree, making a 91 as he pulls one back against Jack Jones, whose lead over there is now 2-1.
Clever shot there from Dave. Taking the chance. He had a nice enough angle on that black to just promote that safe
32.
green. Might be tempted to play this red down the rail now because he's got a great angle on it. Just play a soft stun off the cushion. Well, he's gone top, and
33.
once again you could see how inviting that type of shot is. He caught a fair bit of that left jaw as we look, the top cushion jaw. Still accepted it. And now what a great chance for a steal.
Well, he's a massive favourite, isn't he? Gilbert leads Judd Trump 2-1. One more frame needed, and he'll have 2 wins out of 3 and be looking pretty good in the group standings. How radically and rapidly things can change in any group in the BetVictor Championship League. Dave Gilbert lost his first match today, 3-1 to Noppon Sankarm. If he wins this one, at least for a while, he will move to the top of the table. But Judd Trump fought back from 2-1 down to beat Jack Lazowski 3-2 earlier. In fact, Lazowski in those last couple of frames didn't bother the scorers.
Well, considering the mistake he made in the first frame, Dave, that black off the spot, he's responded really well. He could have already had this match won by now had he not have missed that black, so just looking to put the finishing touches to it.
Now we're watching one of the game's superstars in action. News of another. Around an hour ago, the news broke on the World Snooker website that Ronnie O'Sullivan has withdrawn from the German Masters next week. He was due to play Dylan Emery in his opening match, so Emery will now receive a bye into the last 32.
You know, it's funny that's happened, actually, because I was with Dylan in Belgium last weekend at one of the Q Tour events, and I asked Dylan if he was going to the WSF event in Morocco. Of course, that event carries a tour card, and he said, no, I've made a decision to go to the German Masters. Obviously, he's qualified for the event already. And he said to me, I strongly fancy then there's every chance that Ronnie will pull out. And, well, he's spoken it into existence. Big prize money.
Yes, Dylan Emery's in that strange situation, isn't he? Because he was top of the Q School top-up list. He's not actually a member of the tour, but he's in everything. Doesn't get the £20,000 guarantee, of course. But other than that, all of the playing windows have opened for him this season.
Yeah, in my opinion, he's in the. I suppose if you are going to be on the amateur circuit, is in the perfect position because he can play in anything he wishes. Basically, he's got the Q Tour events, playing in a top-up as in the World Snooker events as well. Basically, double bubble for him. Lots of opportunities. He can pick and choose. He's in the playoffs for the Q Tour as well after winning one of the Q Tour events. I think he won the one in Bulgaria, so yeah, he's in a good position, Dylan. Well, that's a brilliant shot that Dave's played there. He's been so unlucky. He didn't hold his hand up because he played that pot off the blue. He came round and had a look at the red. He knew that it would go close. To catch the jaws of the corner pocket and going off, that is outrageous. And he smiles, but he'll be absolutely dying inside. He's pulled out a brilliant trick shot there. What a nice game this is.
For now, at least, Trump is off the boil. And things aren't going well for him either. The only red he could leave was the one he has left.
One.
As we've seen so often over the years, it's hard to sustain a really high standard for 2 days straight, let alone 4 or 6. And of course, if you're involved in all 3 groups this week, it is 6 days solid match play. So even the very best have peaks and troughs.
I think more than anything in this format, for all these players, it's just concentration. They're long days, there's a lot of waiting around in between matches, and there is a lot of matches to get through as well. It's all about concentration. They can all play
16.
to that level, they can all pop balls, make tons, you know, it's an easy game to them all, but the concentration is what may let a few down. I think Judd's experiencing that in this game. Not looked as sharp as he has done.
You know, back in the early 80s when I was at university, I played a 24-hour snooker marathon for charity. 24 hours continuously playing. And, by the way, I'm not comparing myself to these guys. That would be ludicrous. But what I found during those many hours was that little periods where you felt as though you couldn't miss. And then,
17.
for no apparent reason, there were periods where you felt as though you couldn't pot a ball. And I suppose the same thing applies to these guys in the sense that you cannot sustain peak form for frame after frame, match after match, day after day. Inevitably, there will be a time where you have a low period and unproductive couple of matches. Having won his first 2 matches, Trump can afford to lose this one without losing too much sleep. And he has got one more match this evening against Tom Ford.
Well, just on that topic quickly, I too did a 24-hour snooker marathon many moons ago, and I literally couldn't pot a ball come the end of it. The 22nd hour arrived, I missed a blue off the spot that you just couldn't miss. I then sort of flung my cue up in the air, and there was a fan above the table and it chopped the top of my cue off. I had to use a rack cue for the remaining 2 hours.
33.
It was the first ever cue I had, and I've still got it at home. Never had it fixed. I had a new cue made straight after that, the cue that I still use to this day.
So not your greatest fan. We've got a fan playing tomorrow, Fan Zhengyi. Actually, not tomorrow. It would be on Friday, wouldn't it, when the Group 7 begins.
$38. Okay. $39. $42. $43. $48. $49.
Going very nicely here, Dave.
54.
He's got these balls placed absolutely perfectly for a break big enough to win this frame and the match. It has been a solid
55.
performance. I think overall he'll be happy with how he's played.
Yeah, he has won the Championship League in the past, the ranking version in 2021. And of course,
60.
last spring he got to the semi-finals of the World Championship. Knocked out defending champion Luca Brazil before eventually succumbing to Kyron Wilson.
61.
And he made the semi-finals at the Crucible in 2019 also. He has beaten Judd Trump
68.
6 times. Once in the Championship League, 5 in other tournaments,
69.
including a couple of times at the Scottish Open. Now, Trump is normally mustered in those home nations events, so they are notable wins for Gilbert, as this is. These two have been going toe-to-toe for 19 years now. Their
76.
first meeting was in Aberdeen in a round-robin group of the Grand Prix in 2006, and
77.
Gilbert prevailed 3-1. In fact, Trump has produced 2 wonderful performances against Gilbert over the years. Made 4
84.
centuries against him. And winning their last 16 match in the World Championship in 21, and then 5 centuries in a 6-3 quarter-final win at the Champion of Champions in 2020. But he's not sparkled in this contest, as Trump. And Gilbert has taken full advantage.
.91.
Chance to finish with a century then, and what a way to go out that would be. He's always been a class player, hasn't he, Dave? He's one of the greatest cueists on the tour. He's got a brilliant action, gets through the ball lovely, great rhythm around the table as well. Brilliant player,
93.
has been for so long. Possibly just lacks that bit of self-belief and,
95.
if anything, positivity at times. He's comes across as a downbeat character more times than not, but he really is a superb snooker player.
98.
Yeah, I sent a note to myself today to avoid saying something I always say when I commentate on Dave Gilbert.
102.
But despite that note, I'm going to say it anyway. He's one of those players who looks the part, isn't he? He looks $1 million when he's queuing.
107.
Yeah, he really does. If you was to base your game on anyone's, Dave's would be a good action to try and copy.
113. 120 frame a match.
That was pretty good stuff from Dave Gilbert. He went 1-0 down, but then an 88 clearance from 38 adrift, a 70 clearance in the third frame, and a 120 break in the fourth. Judd Trump's 100% record has been punctured. Dave Gilbert wins 3-1. Next up on the main table, more thrills and spills, no doubt, because it's Jack Lazowski against Nopon Sankon.
So this is the table here on day one of Group 6 of the BetVictor Championship League. We've got 3 players now on 2 points. Dave Gilbert, Judd Trump and Joe O'Connor. Of course, O'Connor has played 2-1-2. Oppensingham on 1. The other players yet to get off the mark. Although Jack Jones, just as we come on here, has beaten Tom Ford. So Jack Jones, in due course, will have his point put on. But we're still relatively early, of course. It's this time tomorrow night we should be into the playoffs. And it's the top 4, of course, who will be there. Bottom 2 relegated. 5th place comes back with the playoff losers. And the winner goes into the winners group. And there's only 2 more chances, this group and Group 7 this week, to get into that winners group. Now, still to come, Judd Trump, Tom Ford on this table. Before that, Jack Lazowski and Oppensingham. And you can see Joe O'Connor there. He's got 2 matches to play, and if he won them both, he would definitely be coming back for the playoffs. Even 1 win, you feel he'd be in good shape, because he's won his first 2. Of course, in some ways, he's been responsible for the most memorable moments of the day. He was missing the black for a 147, the last black, that is, on 140 earlier. But anyway, he's bounced back from that nicely and is in good shape. That'll all be on the Matchroom Multisport YouTube channel. But here on table 1, it's Jack Lazowski and Oppensingham, 2 of the nicest people you could meet in the sport, but they'll have to set that aside. Just saw Noppon practicing. He's always on that practice table.
Okay, we're ready. Thank you.
And of course,
First
he
round.
did win his first match against Dave Gilbert, but then he lost 3-0 to Joe O'Connor. Jack Lazowski has lost his first 2, 3-2 to Judd Trump, 3-1 to Dave Gilbert, where he really did let it slip in that match. He was a bit sloppy in places, so he'll be looking to bounce back here. It's his last match of the night, as indeed it is for Oppensingham.
And remarkably, this is a meeting between 2 seasoned pros, and it's only the 2nd time they've crossed cues. Their only previous meeting to this, a pretty important one, in fairness. First round of the World Championship in 2023, Lazowski won 10-7.
It's a match where, if you wrote down a list of all the players on tour, it'd be probably least likely to be any aggro between these 2. Well, he got close to that, but he'll be concerned, leaving Lazowski a chance. What we saw earlier against Gilbert was Lazowski fashioned a hatful of chances, but just wasn't quite clinical enough. He could easily have won that match 3-1. He lost 3-1, in fact. Could do with something out of this one, couldn't he? He didn't want to end the day played 3, lost 3, because then it would be a struggle tomorrow to turn it round. It wouldn't be impossible, but it'd be a struggle.
Eight.
He's left the red short, okay. It went into the jaw, yes, but more pace, that would have fallen. Another, as Dave used the word appropriately, so will I, sloppy shot.
Well, he missed frame ball red to that same pocket against Gilbert, who then made a miracle clearance to win their match. But it was the same thing, not quite the same shot, but again, just not being clinical. Oppensingham, a more sort of methodical player, but very, very focused when he's in. He's in some ways kind of the opposite. Doesn't have the flair, but he certainly has the focus.
8.
There's that same way of just walking into each shot. This works with Steve Feeney from Sight Right.
Nine.
Yes, I think we're all guilty of continuously talking about Jack Lazowski as the best player yet to win a world ranking event. But also in the conversation is Sankom.
Yeah, very much so. Got to the final last season of the Scottish Open where Gary Wilson beat him, but
Second was not
there's a great humility about him. He was here actually in Leicester. Probably it must have been at this event last year, and I was down at breakfast, and he came down, and I'm not kidding. 4 members of staff went over to him to see what he wanted. He's taken to him because of just the politeness that he has and the sort of sunny character he is. They're all sort of fighting over who was going to make his omelette.
Thank you. 15.
And certain snooker players who will remain nameless over the years, members of hotel staff would be fighting over who isn't going to make his omelette. Yeah, he's a lovely bloke, Sankar.
$23.
Yeah, as I say, you know, you can see it here. He's got a deliberate style, but it can be very effective. He made a 147, didn't he, in Riyadh at the Saudi Arabia Masters last summer. Got a £50,000 bonus for that. Got an unexpected
24.
kiss there. He's still on this black.
Beautifully held.
31.
You know, you talk about specific shots, and that cut back into a blind top corner pocket on the black. That's one that all of the players play so well.
$32.
No snooker at the moment on table 2. Next up there will be Joe O'Connor against Jack Jones.
39.
So Dave and I will be on century watch. And we could be watching a century here. If the pink pots to the left-hand top corner pocket. Well, clearly it does.
40.
That presents a great opportunity to dislodge a couple more reds from that mini bunch. Unless he's dropped straight. Which is the case. Here he is, Jones the Century. That's what we're calling him in Wales, Jones the Century. Dave was just telling me there's an article about him in one of the newspapers today for his achievement, and I think it's richly deserved, Dave.
Yeah, Phil Egg from the Metro has rung him up to have a chat. And, yeah, I mean, you do wonder how many you could make. If you say you ended up in Group 7, you could leave here with 40. The previous record was 23, remember?
$47.
Well, that's worked out nicely. He's brought the red out. He's on the blue, so definite chance for Nopon Senkarm to profit from Lazowski's very unexpected miss. Red to right corner.
$52.
A nice little Thai contingent, of course, on tour. Tepchara Nu is much more erratic. More flamboyant, yes, but more erratic. course, Sonny Akani's back on tour this season. Mink Nutcheret as well.
53.
Yes, if ever the World Cup was back on with three-man teams as it used to be, Thailand would have a pretty good unit.
Barry Hearn, I saw an interview with him over the festive period, and of course Barry's always festive, as we know, but he was saying he would like to bring the World Cup back, as Sengam develops these reds very nicely.
Well, my views on the World Cup are quite simple. It didn't work as a two-player event per team, but I think three-man teams would be really interesting. And, of course, there are more nations now who can be competitive with three-player teams.
Yeah, and also if you don't have enough professionals, you know, it's a boost for the amateur game, isn't it, to bring in the leading amateurs to get a chance to play in it. So I totally agree. Let's hope that comes off. So 58 to the good. Red and a colour required.
66.
And this has been, as I say, it's been studious, but it's been effective. You know, he has focused on every shot. Oh, but he's mishit that one. The red caught the other red. So he's not over the line yet.
Open Sinkan, 66.
And he didn't really have to squeeze that red through. It was clear that there was a channel there to pot it. So just on the threshold of winning the opener, Sankon errs. And now Lazowski, who had 2 frames snatched from his grasp against Dave Gilbert earlier, he could be the one doing the snatching in a positive sense.
He made that great clearance last season at the British Open against Sean Murphy to win their match. It was first 2 shots were both
8.
absolute worldies, actually.
9.
I think it's a bit of a myth that he lacks bottle. I don't think it's that. I think he sometimes lacks focus. Actually, on easier shots rather than pressure balls. Well, he's got a great chance here.
15. 16. 22. 23.
Look at that positional shot onto the penultimate red. So precise. Almost effortless. I agree with you, Dave. I don't think it's a bottle issue. Sometimes I
28.
question his drive, his ambition.
29.
Yeah, I mean, nobody's any one thing, and if Jack maybe didn't have that personality, then he wouldn't be able to play with the freedom he does to make the
35.
dazzling breaks he can. So, sort of 2 sides of the coin, really, but he certainly should win this frame now,
27.
shouldn't he? It's about just trying to stay in control. Just slightly overscrewed the cue ball, so he's getting the rest out. Yeah, and now
40.
it's just become a little more complicated, but he can take the brown to middle. He doesn't do it the obvious way, does he? That's why we like him.
I like the fact he played the green with the rest rather than right-handed.
49.
earlier on, certainly against Gilbert. He lost a couple of frames he should have won. Is he about to win a frame he should have lost? Looks like it. This is a terrific clearance. Noppensengam will be sick, though. He did all the hard work in this frame. And in the blink of an eye, Lazowski has made a dashing 62 clearance. And he leads 1-0. Well, it's a great clearance from Jack Lazowski. Noppensengam, as I say, be very disappointed. He did a lot of hard work just to, well, sort of mishit the pot he went for, caught another red, and Jack stepped in and made a lovely clearance. So 1-0 it is to him. He's looking for his first win of the day. Sengam is second. And then they'll both have 3 matches in the groups tomorrow, hopefully, of course, trying to get in the top 4 later on.
One thing that's incontrovertible, if Lazowski wins this match, the group really tightens up. Can tell you, over on table 2, it's been a cagey start of the first frame between Jack Jones and Joe O'Connor. O'Connor first in, but Mr. Pink to middle, and now Jones is very much in.
As indeed is Jack Lazowski with this wonderful long red. And well controlled for the black as well. That's the thing. I think the reason sort of pundits can get frustrated with him, if he wasn't any good, that'd be one thing, wouldn't it? Just say, OK, well, his attitude doesn't matter if he's not talented, but he's one of the most talented players in the game. He did work with Peter Ebdon. That tie-up didn't seem to pay dividends as it did for Sean Murphy. But as I say, you know, if he wasn't the character he was, maybe he wouldn't be able to play with the freedom that allows him to make clearances like the one we just saw. But then
Jack Lazowski, 16.
He misses that one.
Some of the most interesting snooker personalities have been those that can play brilliantly, but you're always scared they're going to miss a ball they should pot, and that was a prime example.
One.
Of course, the first People's Champion was Alex Higgins. He was exactly the same. You never quite knew how any shot was going to turn out.
Six.
Big difference, though, Higgins won the UK Championship, the Masters, and a couple of World Championships.
7. Fourteen. Yes. 15. 22. 23.
'Now, we've made the point already this evening that the balls are spreading
30.
very well on this table. But when you take the cue ball off the top cushion first, even at pace, there are no guarantees on any table that's ever been manufactured. Hardest way to break the reds is the shot that Sankon was forced into there.
Swan neck rest. It's using here. Well, he hasn't got the white as close to the cushion as he was intended, so that will
30.
unravel quite quickly. Sure, he felt there was value in that. He'd been on the black. I was not expecting to leave a red on. You're never quite sure if you're safe, though, with Lazowski. This red does cut in to the yellow pocket. And it goes.
1.
Normally, you don't want to catch the bump of a middle pocket. That one really helped. The pink flies into the green bag and position should be a given after it.
Seven. 8.
I'm at this point with Stephen Hallworth when Lazowski played this morning. And I'll ask you your opinion as well, Dave. The fact is, Lazowski's been in 6 world ranking
13.
finals and 6 other semi-finals, actually. Still to win one. But he's been given quite a
14.
raw deal because he's played Robertson twice in a ranking final, Selby on 1 occasion, and Trump 3 times. So they are really tough tests, aren't they?
22. That's 21.
Absolutely, and he's beaten some terrific players to get to those finals. I think the concern is more that he's not been in one for 4 years.
22.
No disgrace losing to any of them. I think he finds it hard playing Trump. He obviously looks up to Judd Trump, they're great friends. And also Trump's brilliant, but then he misses that black off the spot.
Jack
And that-
Lazowski, 22.
It's been an issue today, just the odd miss out of absolutely nowhere.
One.
Yeah, how can someone of his ability fail to pot a ball of that nature?
Seven. Eight.
So, 1 open red and then 2 on cushions to deal with
13.
here.
Fourteen. Seventeen.
Well, it always seems
We'll
tougher
say
to pot a ball along
17.
the bulk cushion than the top cushion for some reason. And these pockets are not ungenerous. He didn't really get close to that.
That will be the test if and when it ever arrives on the golden ball in Saudi Arabia. Someone makes a 147, they need to pot that golden ball along the ball cushion for a 167 and a huge amount of money. That will be one hugely pressurised and difficult shot. So 9 the difference, 2 reds left, frame very much open.
One.
should equalise from here, Dave.
Yes, and of course,
3.
you will reflect he could have been 2-0 up, but equally he could have been 2-0 down. Lazowski had chances in this frame, missed that black off the spot earlier. Senkam just needs to apply the finishing touches here.
Four.
Been a profitable day for Joe O'Connor, who's taken a 1-0 lead over Jack Jones on table 2. Early on, Jones had a really good chance. Surprisingly, from short range, he overcut a black that
7.
wasn't too taxing. And O'Connor did the bulk of the damage from that.
9.
Green and brown needed for Noppen Senkam to level this match. Remember, the last match will be Judd Trump against Tom Ford on this table.
Twelve. Sixteen. 21.
Well, it wasn't flawless by any means, but it'd be relieved after what happened in frame 1, where Lazowski cleared up to win on the black. Noppen Senkam has levelled up, so all square here in Leicester this evening. It's 1 each. So Noppen Senkam has levelled up with Jack Lazowski at 1 each. On the other table, Joe O'Connor leads Jack Jones 1-0. It's day 1 of Group 6 of the BetVictor Championship League. There are 7 groups before the winners' group. So we have Hossein Vafai, C. Jarwi,
Come to break.
Mark Selby, Karen Wilson and Matt Sell in the winners' group. 2 more places to be found. And it'll be that first week of February where the champion's crowned. Of course, a place in the Champion of Champions for anyone not already qualified.
And after Group 5, which was record-shattering in terms of its overall standard, and a pretty good session this morning, actually. Few mistakes, few errors of an unforced nature creeping into the games of all of the players involved tonight. Maybe a sign of fatigue, certainly for those involved in Group 5 on Monday and Tuesday.
1.
Well, lovely long pot from Noppen Senkarm. John Pellew just dealing with a fly or something there. But yeah, this is arrow straight.
1. 6. 7.
That wasn't so successful though. He strikes me, Senkarm. He's someone who played the same in this as in any event. Some of the players I think have been a bit more open than they might normally be, but I just think he's going to play his game. Straight away, Lazowski looking to open everything up. Needs a good cue ball though.
Well, there's nothing like a fluke.
1.
The only problem is the shot he actually played, the safety shot, was performed to perfection. Cue ball tight under that ball cushion. And although that seems really heavy-handed, on these superfine match cloths, when you're in a position like that, nestling in behind a ball colour for a snooker is a really tough ask.
It's a perfect example of a fluke that he didn't actually want, really. I mean, he apologised for it. That's just because he's polite. But he left him that nasty roll-up. Lazowski potted the red, but clearly he's not on the blue or the green. So, looks like yellow. Which he crunches in. But is he on this red to right corner?
3.
Well, he is. So that was a terrific shot.
Yeah, after 2 pots of that quality. Thankfully, he's on the red.
Four.
That's gone wrong. Again, it's the other way round. This time the blue's in the way of the green, and neither pots.
Blue pot.
So,
Jack Lazowski,
just having to settle for
4.
safety. He didn't want to, but had no choice, really.
It was the right thing to do. But when you decide to play safe, then fully invest in that. It's not a bad safety from Lazowski, but he could have been a little more telling had he blocked the left-hand side of the bunch off from Senkarm and behind the brown.
One.
Well, now he's got a problem because there's a red over the pocket. He's not on the black.
Yellow ball.
Now, does he go down swinging, or does he try to block the path of Sankar? I think we know the answer. Not in the same postcode as the pocket, that yellow.
Jack Lozowski, 1.
Yeah, I mean, he was in trouble, wasn't he? You can understand why he would try and pot his way out of it, but nowhere near, as you say. It's amazing, though, how a ball off its spot can cause trouble. That green being where it was there caused a lot of difficulty. It's about to be removed, although it's going to go on the black spot, actually. So, again, it's sort of in the area of the table it shouldn't be.
Four. Five.
You'll watch on this shot one of those players who has a discernible pause, pulls the cue back, waits, then delivers. It's a repeatable cue action, of that there's no doubt.
Well, this is thin along the cushion, and it's one of those, if he misses it, he'll probably leave it in the jaws.
This pocket hit the near jaw, and you probably won't pot the red, but you can hit a large amount of the far jaw. Oh, well, he hit the near jaw and it still went in. Just about scrambled in. That made an immense difference to the frame.
$13. $14. $17. $18.
Quite quiet on table 2 at the moment. It's 1-0 to Joe O'Connor, and he leads by 58 points to 0 against Jack Jones in frame 2. 7 reds left.
$26.
Well, it's been quite a low-scoring frame so far, but obviously the main thing is to win it, and he's 29 in front, 34 with the blue. Could have won all 3 frames. He probably could have lost them all as well. Lozowski was in trouble with the red over the left corner. Tried to pop that very difficult yellow and left this chance from it.
32.
And Open Senkan will need another red after the black to lead 2-1.
$39. $40.
So he's stuck to his task well here and has a chance to go on to claim his second point. Lazowski, he's not lost yet, but if he does, he's in big trouble really. Played 3, lost 3. Obviously, he's got 3 more matches
47.
tomorrow. He's got Joe O'Connor. He's got Jack Jones.
48.
And he's got someone else whose name I can't find.
Tom Ford.
That's him, yeah.
First up on table 2 for the afternoon evening session. But the way those two are going, that might be
53.
a dead match.
Well, Ford will play trump on this table, and if he loses that, yeah, he'll be 0 for 3 as well. So both be struggling.
$58.
Years ago, when
62.
a certain bookmaker had a shop on sighted tournaments, quite often they would offer a bet about a specific frame, whether there's going to be under or
67.
over 100 points scored. Well, if you'd had that bet and you'd gone over 100 points, you'd be sick now. It was low
73.
scoring because early on, lots of reds were potted without a colour, but Nopon has finished well.
Yeah, it was a good break, that. Didn't falter when the chance came, and Open Senkan
80.
takes the lead with that 80 clearance
Open
at
Senkan.
2-1. So it's 2-1 to Open Senkan, the penultimate match on table 1 here today. Jack Lazowski looked a bit fed up there, wasn't he, in the chair? Obviously, he had a chance in the frame, but was in trouble with the red over the table. I think also, you know, he is obviously a quick player. Nopon is more methodical, not slow, just more methodical. But there was a sort of sense of inevitability. He was going to pot everything, so you can maybe understand why Lazowski wasn't best pleased. Anyway, it's 2-1. Nopon looking for his second point here from 3 matches.
Yes, and if he gets to 2 points, that would be 4 players on that mark. Oh, the old shot to nothing,
1.
which wasn't actually a shot to nothing because of the middle pocket bump. But now, what a bonus. He played safe there, hoping to pot the red, but it was pure speculation. But then the white, catching that middle pocket jaw, left the cue ball in mid-table and left a promising chance.
6.
Yeah, I suspect Jack isn't any less fed up after that. It's a great pot, but the knuckle was golden.
Seven.
These days, Thailand, well, it's been hosting in recent years the World Six Reds Championship, but in terms of ranking tournaments, we don't go there anymore. And yet, for a while, there are a whole host of tournaments in the land of smiles. I'm sure Sankon would love to compete on home turf.
12.
And he would have liked those Reds to split much better than they did. Plenty of displacement, but nothing doing.
Well, Lazowski was sort of sat with his eyes shut in his seat, but it might be time to open them again. Well, in fact, that red was potable, but it's not in, so Jack gets a chance.
Open second. 12.
Black won't pot to right corner. The pink's tied up. So he's going to take a little bit of working out.
He just looks deflated, crestfallen, whatever the word is. He's not a happy man. Just gone into that cue ball slightly too much. So the white has reached the baulk line. The cutback green, the epitome of tricky. The lengthy blue. What cueing is needed for this? Well, if he ever has a blue ball shootout, frame, match, whatever you like to call it, you might want to back Nop on Sankon, because that cue action is well equipped for that particular kind of shot, clearly.
Seven.
Yeah, like I say, I think every time I've walked past the practice table, he's been on it. Either him or Stephen Hallworth, who practice in between commentary shifts. But yeah, you know, he makes a lot of effort, doesn't he? He's renowned for it, actually. And the fruits of that were seen in that last shot on the blue. But he's lost the white here, hasn't he? Complete misjudgment, that.
11.
Did I hear an apology? I think I did.
Well, he's very honest then, because a lot of players would have just styled that out. So he's going to just tickle to the yellow and put Lazowski in trouble.
Open second count 12. Foul. And a miss. 4.
Lazowski didn't strain many sinews on that shot. It was down and played.
Touching ball.
Well, it's touching ball normally. That's a really good thing for the incoming player because they can take the cue ball up into baulk and nicely into the sanctuary of the safety zone. But this time, that's not an option because the red is so close to the pocket. On table 2, Joe O'Connor made a half century to start the second frame, and he's just potted an absolute wonder red down the left-hand side cushion, pretty much the full length of it. And he's almost certain to take a 2-0 lead over Jack Jones. And remember, O'Connor, if he wins that match, would have 3 points out of 3. He would be the table topper.
Well, Lazowski's starting to get a little bit frustrated, I think. Not just this match, but the whole day, really. And Noppen Sengham surely senses a chance to get this one. It's not the easiest table by any means, but he's in front already by 28 as he crunches that one in.
1.
And it's the way of the world, isn't it, Dave? When you see your opponent toiling and clearly not in a good mental space, that in itself infuses confidence.
Chance to just develop the reds here. Yeah, I mean, you can't really have any mercy when you're out there.
6.
Got to pick up the signs, the clues from your opponent that they're struggling. But he has missed that one. He wasn't too close, actually, so can Jack just
6.
almost flick a switch here and get going again? Again, it's not the easiest table, but he's very good at just getting things into the open quickly.
1. Five. Jack Lazowski 5.
Well, that could be the end now. And there's been too much of that today, really, I'm afraid. Black now pots as well, so Noppen Sengham has it in his hands to get this one.
And officially it is 2-0 for Joe O'Connor over Jack Jones on the other table.
8. Nine.
And this will put Noppon
16.
Sankalm right back in the mix. Two wins out of 3 on day one in any group is not bad.
17.
So the black to lead by 53. Another red and a colour should be sufficient. And obviously there is that red out in open play. He played on the one along the cushion, but either way, red and a black here. And it's looking like it is victory. Zowski
24.
has just faded during this match. Made that good clearance, didn't he? But apart from that, he'll be disappointed, and hopefully we'll get a good night's sleep, come back tomorrow. He can still qualify. If he won his last 3, it could happen in a tight group.
Thank you. 25.
As for Sankalm, he has exactly the same slot that Group 5 winner Matthew Selt had. He plays back-to-back when we start up again tomorrow morning on table 1 against Trump and then against Jack Jones. Finally, again on table 1 to complete the afternoon, he takes on Tom Ford. So things for him, decent.
32.
This red should make absolutely sure already a snooker required. I don't think Zowski will have any interest though if this red goes in. And there it is. So Noppon Sankalm will be delighted with his day's work. He's very much in the mix here for a place in the playoffs tomorrow night. It's a tight group, so every frame is counting.
$40. 41.
Not a bit of vintage performance, but he's here to do a job and he's done it efficiently.
48.
And well, he's not done yet.
49.
Terrific pot. Just sort of delaying the inevitable for Zowski, who, as I say, will tomorrow certainly need to win his last 3, but that's been done before now as the black stays out.
49.
It is, though, Noppon Sankalm who takes the point
match.
from this match. He beats
Noppon
Jack Zowski by 3 frames to 1. So we've got one more match to bring you on this table, and it's the return of the world #1 Judd Trump against Tom Ford.